Alright guys, so now that we're done with the overlay, what we want to do is get this GSAP onto our Navbar so our icons aren't sitting off to the side doing nothing, looking kind of crazy. Looks like we eat rocks, we're living. So what we want to do is, now I've done this ahead of time, and I'm just going to walk you through instead of you watching me type all this out like you did last time. Just want to speed it up because it's been a while since I finished this. I apologize, I took a couple of months off, went up to Alaska, where I bought a motorcycle and drove around because, you know, COVID. So if we go over to Navbar, what you're going to want to do, just as we did here, you want to take in use effect, make sure you put your comma, bring in the hooked use effect, and import GSAP from GSAP, just as we did for the layout and index. You have all our links, we already mapped through those, you have that. So now here inside our Navbar, inside the brackets, you want to do your cons like we did before. Make our variable for timeline, and that equals the GSAP timeline. Then make sure you get your semicolon at the end. You're going to put your use effect in. Make sure you have your bracket here, and also the closing parenthesis for this. Now, what are we going to do? We're going to do a timeline just like we did. We know that our nav and our button box are hidden. They're off to the side. We have them at 0. So when our timeline starts, we want them to start where we have them initially. We want them to go to 100%, and we want that to ease out. Now 100%, if you recall, is not going to be the whole thing, because we know that we made the width of the parent element 17.5, so it's going to be 100% of that. So it's going to go out about 17.5% of the view width. And here, I chain these two together. This might look a little different because this is one timeline and this is going to be another. And this is what it means when you chain these two things together to happen. We want our LI, which are our icons, our links. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me just walk you through this. So we want our nav. These are your elements first before the parentheses. What elements you're animating. The duration, and then we want it to go. Okay, so we know we got our nav and our button box. Then we want our LI, which is our icons, which are our links. We want those to go from, we want them to start at opacity 0, off to the side so you can't even see them. They're backed out 125, so there's some movement, and we want those to stagger, each one about a quarter of a second after one another, about a quarter second apart, so they stagger in, just to give it a little bit more of a movement. And we know the opacity is going to start to 0, it's going to go to 1. Why? Because, well, we didn't put anything down here, and it's understood the opacity is going to be 1, so that will go, opacity will start here, it will go to 1, x minus 125 will go to 0, and it will do that in a stagger. Okay, so we get that. So it's going to open up, they're going to stagger in. Now, here, if you recall, the menu button, when you click on it, slides over, disappears, the other one comes on. So what are we going to do? We have a close button. How do we know? Well, because we did these two buttons right here, open, close. So from, we're going to take the close button. We want that to start with none, and then go to, well, we know it's going to go to this. We're going to start as to display none, well, to displaying. And we want the open to start from displaying to display none, and that's not hidden. That means it's going to disappear off the screen so that they shift into one another's spot. So the menu slides over because the close button is no longer there. There's a delay on this, and this is a minus 0.1 because we want the menu button to happen, to disappear right before this appears. Now, if these were the same, they'd both be on the screen at the same time, or if they weren't in sync, and this is how you sync it. One is a negative, and one is that. So that will make sense when you see it happen. The menu goes over. Right when it disappears, this one appears. It goes from display none to displaying, as this goes from displaying to display none. Those are our buttons. Now, if we were to take a look at this right now, well, I'll show you. So, hopefully that makes sense. We got our nav and our buttons opening 100%. We got our icons staggering in, getting their opacity back, getting back in position. We have one button going from not being on a screen to being there, and we got the other one going from being on a screen to not being there. Now if we go over and we take a look at it, well, let me redo it. That goes up. It's already happening because I'm going to tell you why. The animation will start automatically, and there is a very simple way to solve that. Just like before we put a delay on the overlay, remember that would happen, and then the menu, you couldn't even click on it. But so what do we do? Because this fires automatically. Well, thankfully, you have your buttons. You're going to make them look like this, and I'll explain what's going on here. So let me get rid of this. This is what you have. And instead of creating our own on-click to start and to close the menu, to start the animation and to stop it, GSAP comes with something called timeline reverse. Well, actually the method is reverse and play. It's TL here because, well, that's what we named GSAP timeline. So anyway, if you had named this dog, it would be dog.reverse, dog.play. But anyway, it's an on-click. Make sure you have your brackets. And, you know, it's a function that returns timeline in reverse. So on close. So when we hit close, we expect them to stagger out, and then the nav to go back to a zero width. And on open, same thing. Make sure you have the curly brackets. When we click on that, we expect it to play, which means it would start the whole thing. So menu should slide over. The Navbar should pop open, and all our icons should slide over, stagger in, and open our menu. Make that possible. Now, again, this is going to start right away, and they're both going to be on the screen because it wants to start automatically. Well, luckily. So hopefully that makes sense. We got an on-click and an on-click. We're telling them what to do. When you click on close, we want the animation to play in reverse. We want the whole damn Navbar to go disappear. On open, we want it to open up. We want all its animations here to start. Now, up here, you want to make this look like this, and this will solve all our problems. Not only does it have a reverse, I'm going to just delete this now. Not only does it have a reverse and a play, we also have a pause. So we want to pause it, and it pauses it at the very beginning, which means the very beginning of play, which means close will be gone. That won't be there. Only play will be there, and all of this will all be hidden. It's paused. So, again, make sure you got your curly brackets, pause, colon, true. Now, when we go over, let me make sure I got rid of that. Okay, you can actually, yours should look like this. So you don't have to see it. So all you should have is your on-click with your reverse method, online for menu with your play method. You should have this to here. Don't miss any of this down here. Blah, 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 blah. Now, if we go over, if we are not complete fools, and I'm not talking out of my ass, once again, okay, that goes up. Now, when we click it, boom, 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 they come in. When we close it, that slides over, boom. Okay, exactly the way we wrote it up. The only problem is, if I were to finish it here, you guys would hate me because as soon as you went to responsive, check it on a phone, or to check it on, I don't know, an iPad, it would look ridiculous. Because we didn't do this last time we were here. Make sure you get these media queries in right after button. Just start, and make sure you, obviously they're inside of your back tick. You want these. This is just for the different font sizes and button sizes. You know, I'm using max width. If you want to go min width and go backwards, go ahead. That's fine. But that's just saying, you know, screens that are max width of 12, you're going to have this here. This is very important here. You can make this wherever you want, but for me, at a max width of 991, so all screens smaller than 990, I want it to open up to 50 VWs, no longer 17, and I'll show you in a second. I think it looks a lot better on cell phones. I believe that covers the iPad. I just think it looks a lot better than having this little tiny icons and everything stuck way over to the side. So that's that one. Here, again, this is just for font size. I don't know why it's 0.2 and this is 0.5. You might want to double check that. I think I made them huge on the phone. You might want to reverse those, but either way. So there you go. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4 media queries, and that should solve all our problems. And I'm sorry this is taking so long, guys. Like I said, I had to escape, so let's check this out. Inspect our element. Let's go over to here. Okay, that's on a laptop. Let's see how that looks on a laptop. Okay, that's how we want it on a laptop. That makes sense. Let's check an iPad. Okay. That is... Yeah, okay. That's where we want it. This is slow as hell because I got two things going here. And last but not least, let's go check it on... Well, let's close it first. I think that's half my problem. Let's go check it on a phone. Let's try an Android. Okay. Click on the menu. Of course. There you go. And I like it. I think it looks a lot better than if it's way over here. You might want to make these a little bit smaller. But when it's way over here, I just think it looks better. Again, it's just my preference. You can make it any way you want. Now, again, guys, I'm sorry it's taking so long. I see a bunch of you guys started it this week. If you didn't quite wrap your head around everything that's going on here, go check out the docs at GSAP. I just wanted to get this nav done so that now you have all the heroes and the navigation done. And you got your feet wet a little bit with green sock. We're going to have more green sock, and next time I will type it out and walk you through it a little bit better. But I hope you're starting to get an understanding of to and from as it relates to how you actually set up your positioning and your CSS rules. So hopefully that's starting to make sense. This should be simple. I don't think I have to explain. Hopefully you all know what an on-click. That's just an on-click, meaning when someone clicks on it, it's an on-click event. That triggers this. That triggers that. I know I'm babbling right now, but I just want to make sure I got everything. Oh, and hopefully I don't remember if I had done the hovers on the links. So I don't remember if I had those done. I had to redo all this because I lost everything. So when you actually, well, here, let me get out of there because that's not going to work while that's on that. While you touch them, they turn blue and they get underlined. Hopefully you have that. If not, and I think I did do it, but just in case, that's just right here. It's just a simple hover on your links. Okay, guys. So hopefully I can get back to this, but at least now you have a nav and you have all of your heroes done. And I think it's looking pretty cool. Well, check out, I did change a couple things, and you'll be pleasantly surprised on the next video. If you recall, in the very first video where I showed you what we were building, I had that little happy hour just kind of sitting there kind of plain with a couple of drinks flying in and out. I threw a little animation on that so it kind of rubber bands and makes it look like it's a happy hour. I'm going to add a menu for food, which I think is really cool because there are these little cards. I'll show it to you all in the next one. I think you're really going to dig that. So this website's going to look a hell of a lot better than the actual first video I made that you looked at. There's a bunch of other things that I decided to add to it since it took so long. And I think you'll enjoy it. Well, anyway, guys, like and subscribe. I hope that all makes sense. If it doesn't, leave me a comment, and I'll definitely get right back to you. All right, guys, enjoy your day.